right. Well, now that we're talking about finding mentors, let's touch base a little bit about where and how somebody who's new to this world could actually find these runs or find out ways to get more involved off-roading. Any thoughts on that?
So for me, my personal experience was Facebook.
Yeah.
I stalked some Facebook groups and
Stop. Seriously.
No, yeah, because I was silent. Hi, I'm Amanda with Centop USA, where we pride ourselves on providing you with the ultimate soft top for your adventures. Chic Chat is a place where we can celebrate the perfect fusion of style and adventure. Jeeps have long been synonymous with ruggedness, freedom, and the spirit of adventure. And who says women can't embrace all of that and more?
All right. And howdy, I'm Wendy. If you guys listen to us during the week, I'm on the Jeep Talk Show, one of the other co-hosts that works with Tony and Larry at different times. So I'm excited that the A-team is back in the house. I mean, seriously, it's been a little while for me, but thank you, Amanda, for holding the fort down. And
the A-team.
Doing everything that you did. And you know how life is so funny sometimes, right? So it's all good. All right. Well,
yes, ma'am. I'm happy to be back with you.
I thought we'd have some little fun today and just sort of chat a little bit about a couple things that I think sometimes when you're brand new Jeeping, whether you don't have to be female either. You can be male or female to start off brand new. But I think one of the hardest things is, they hear us talking on the show about being a mentor. And I do a whole segment on how us who have experience, what we need to do to be mentors for people who are new. But what I thought it'd be fun to discuss today, see what you think about it, is what if you're new saying, great, she says I should use a mentor, but how do I find one? I think that's kind of an interesting comment. I mean, how do you do that? For me, when I first started, Don Alexander was a major mentor for me. Of course, my husband, who's had many, many years of experience off-roading. But if you are new, how do you go about it? So let's just chat. Let's just see how that goes.
Yeah, I love this topic because it was this kind of the same for me. I was lucky to just kind of stumble into having amazing people to wheel with and to teach me. But for some people, they may have to look or, maybe meet a group of people and the first mentor they find didn't work out so well. So yeah, I love this topic.
Well, I think too, the first thing I'm going to say, if you're brand new, that you may have to go through a few people before you decide that person is good for you. And I think for me, when I first got into it, my husband had been wheeling for a while. We went on a run with another group. We'd not ever been to their meetings or, even met most of those people. And the gentleman it was clear to us later. Now, looking back, I can say this with confidence, but at the time I didn't know because I was so brand new. But this person had not had a lot of experience with 4-door Jeeps. He drove a 2-door and most of the group was in 2-door. So he couldn't get us over an obstacle. And then he got frustrated. And long story short, Bill's like, can I take over? And he just did it himself and got us up and over. It wasn't a big deal. And this wasn't a major, well, actually it was a black diamond, but whatever. The bottom line is that was for us. Here we were trying to follow somebody who was leading, assuming, and again, I wouldn't call him a mentor, but when you're brand new, you just get into a group and you sort of go along and you don't really know what you don't know.
Mm-hmm. And I think it has a lot to do with like personality too. Sometimes you just mesh well with a person or a group of people. And, when you mesh well with somebody and you have, personalities that go well, communication is good and trust is good and all of those things are good. So I think it's a mixture of knowledge and trust and communication and all the things that you have to rely on when, you're out on the trail with somebody.
Yeah. And I think part of it too, the other issue is, like you said, the words there, you're building this relationship and trust. Well, when you're new and you've posted on Facebook, hey, I just got my Jeep where there are trails somewhere, you're going to connect with somebody who may or may not be a mentor. And I think we should define a little bit of the difference of that. To me, a mentor is somebody who, like us, we enjoy teaching and training and we take the time to explain things to people, we're going to explain it at your level. So if you have more knowledge, maybe you don't, or experience, you don't need me to explain the details. But if you're brand new, maybe you want to know exactly why do we air down, or what's, the ratio as an example, or how to get over something and pick a line. And I think too, when you look for a mentor, to me, a good mentor is somebody who's extremely patient.
Right.
Yeah. Oh, did we lose your connection?
Mm-hmm.
Hang on a second there.
100%. Yeah, I
There
think
she
it's
is.
the
She's back.
love of the passion and the love of sharing the passion. I
Uh,
I gotta love my
I
internet,
know. I
y'all.
was just
Some
gonna
days it's
say.
great, some days it's not. So y'all just forgive me and hang in there and we'll make it through.
See, this is called mentoring right now. I'm being patient with Amanda's internet system. No, I'm just kidding. But I do think too, when you are brand new and you show up at this run with somebody and you say to yourself, I don't know anything. You're really putting your trust into whoever is leading. And I think this goes both ways. If you're leading and you don't want brand newbies on your run, it's not who you are, then you need to spell that out. Someone needs to come with experience. But if you're just going to put out, hey, there's a run, anybody's welcome, then it's understood in my book that that leader understands how to mentor. And I think mentoring is probably a word that we use a lot, but we don't maybe know what that means. And I think part of it is that, mentoring is about helping that person have a fabulous day, learn some things so that when they're done with that run with you, they want to go out and do it again. And I think not everybody's a mentor, right? I think you would agree with that. I mean, you've run into some people, I'm sure, Amanda, that should not be in that world of mentoring.
Yes, both in the jeeping world and my professional life too. So
There you
yeah,
go.
but it's the sharing the love of it, I think. And like you said, absolutely, you want to give somebody that fantastic day so that they want to come back and they want to do it again and, maybe spark their passion for it. So I love that. I love that, but maybe some people don't. So
Yeah. And I think too, the other part of mentoring is that we're experienced. Let's say that we have this knowledge and we're experienced. I think for some people, hearing the same question asked from different people who are brand new gets a little tiring, I think, for people, not for me, but for people. And I see this on Facebook a lot. There'll be groups and someone will come in brand new and say, I'm just curious about, what am I supposed to do with tires, or how do I pick tires, or how do I pick a trail, or how do I do something? And the response is you just want to smack these people because it's like, these are brand new people. They need to have a forum to come to. Don't jump on them. So I would say that if you're out there and you don't like hearing the same questions, or you feel like they're too newbie for you, then don't respond. Just leave it out of there. And if you, again, are leading a run, then you need to be open to the fact that somebody's going to come and they're going to be so brand new, but you have the opportunity to really influence these people in the fun that they can have and how exciting it is to have a Jeep and go out in the trails. So I would just encourage that too, that when you're new, it's okay to go do several runs, and you may find somebody like we did on that first run for us. There was no way we were ever going to go back and run with that guy leading. It was done. Now that's because my husband had experience, and it wasn't that the guy didn't know it and he didn't take the time to try it, but he got frustrated with us. Like it was our fault that we couldn't get up and over when we said, hey, there's a different line. Can we pick a different line? And he was like, no, this is the line everybody's going on. Well, that's not how it works either. Sometimes you got to pick different lines and you have to be aware of different size vehicles. And now with the Gladiator, which is even longer than the 4-door, there are all kinds of factors that come into when you mentor. So,
and I think the way somebody could maybe, kind of weed some of that out before getting on the trails is, so I spent this weekend at Mopar Heaven, which is a huge event with tons of Mopar people, and tons of different clubs and groups, and not a lot of Jeep stuff, but a lot of car clubs and just a lot of different personalities.
mm-hmm.
But even if you just go to a show that has different Jeep clubs, or you go to a big event that has different Jeep clubs, you can interact with a lot of these people, in a casual setting, at a restaurant, at a bowling alley, at a wherever,
Right.
and talk to them and ask them questions about wheeling, about vehicles, about whatever, and just kind of get a fit for their personality, and are they patient? Did they really want to educate you?
Yeah.
Did they seem excited to share knowledge with you? Because I think a lot of that's going to translate onto the trails.
Yeah. And I think too, when you're new, you don't know what you don't know. I mean, we don't. You have to go out and experience it. So I'm going to say to anybody brand new, go out and try, ride different trails, go out and have experience. Like she's talking about, go to shows, talk to people. There are enough people in this industry that want to help other people get into it, especially women. Oh my gosh, that has just exploded in the last couple of years, how many women are now involved. And that you will be able to see very quickly somebody's time that they're willing to spend with you. And who knows if you connect with somebody who's in your area or that you might be able to do that run with them. So I think that to me is the exciting part, is that don't be afraid that you don't know something or that you don't know it all. Because I'm going to tell you right now, as a brand new Jeeper, you don't know anything. I mean, you do not know anything, right? You might think you can drive, you can get to the trailhead, but that's about it. There's so much to learn, and you're not going to learn it in one time. So there's a lot of people along the way that are going to influence you. And there are people who are leaders who lead a run who are not mentors. They're just getting you through the run, and that's all they do. And there's nothing wrong with that. Then there's people who can take you sort of under their wing and maybe give you answers to some of the questions or help you to explain, like, how do I air down? How do I air back up? What do I need to bring for this, trail run or whatever I'm doing? So there are a difference between, just because someone's leading a run doesn't mean they're a mentor, by the way. A mentor is somebody that you stay connected with. And I have mentors now all over, other wheelers that either have an excellent viewpoint. I mean, I try to learn from everybody. So what about you? I think you probably have the same thing. It's not just one or two people in your life that you look as a mentor. You've got so many people.
So many. And I think maybe even the mentor, it may not be the leader of the trail. It may be somebody in front of you in line or behind you in line, or, it's just somebody that you connect with. But yeah, I mean, every run or show or whatever, I feel like I meet somebody, that I can learn from. And that's me, as my personality is I like to absorb all the information. I want to learn when I'm passionate about something. Like, I want to know everything, and I ask all of the questions, for better or for worse.
Right.
But I'm love that I've had people, in my life that have been so patient with me to understand that that is me, that I want to learn and just to pour that knowledge into me. But I think if it's important to you, you seek out those people, you seek out the mentors and those that want to teach just as much as you want to learn.
Well, and I think too, that's a very good point. When you start to wheel and you're brand new, you will find people that will gravitate to you, because like myself, if I'm on a run and I'm not leading it and someone else is running it, but I discover there's someone in the group that's new, I can tell you right now, I will find a way to at least connect with you. Now, I'm not going to just come and pour information on you and say, here, you got to learn it all. But I kind of want to make sure that you feel comfortable and that you know that you can come to me and ask me and reach out to me, either email or give you a card, whatever it takes, because I feel like that's part of my job too. I was mentored by two amazing people who have more knowledge together than, probably 100+ years and then some. And I feel so blessed to have that it's important to me that I can share back with other people. So being new is not a negative or a bad thing for any kind of a situation. And you do need to seek out some help. And let's talk about who mentors are. For me, it would be somebody that is maybe in your Jeep club. Maybe you met online and you've been running with them a little bit. They can help take into that wing. Maybe you get to go to and listen to the Jeep Talk Show. I mean, we certainly have a lot of us on the Jeep Talk Show team, not just us in Chick Chat, but the whole team, that when you're out at these events, there are people that you will meet, and maybe they can guide you and help you as well. So there's a lot of different avenues. What other areas do you think you could have somebody reach out for?
100%. And like, so you saying that and being able to have these outlets like Jeep Talk Show or Facebook groups or whatever, like my friend Deb Beeman, who with Beeman Build, she's been a guest on this show. She is relatively new to wheeling, right? And she talked about that when she was on the show. And she just recently released a YouTube video that's great. That is things I would want to know as a new wheeler.
Mm-hmm.
And so she goes through all of those questions and those things, that she wanted to know, and she answers them on YouTube. But it's people like that. If you saw her on YouTube, but then you did a run with her at Trail Hero, you could walk right up to her and ask her a question because she
Right.
is by nature a mentor and a teacher and
Yeah.
somebody that loves, loves the sport. So, and I think you can find some of that through social media and different outlets.
Yeah. And it's interesting too. I would say too that women, I think, as a general rule, we get a little intimidated, especially when you got a lot of guys around and they're doing the guy talk kind of deal. And I think part of it too is that you as a woman know that, gosh, you're going to learn so much. Don't be intimidated. Don't be afraid to ask questions. And then again, if you're a guy getting a question from a girl, please don't shut her down. Just sort of understand that they're new, period. Doesn't matter if you're male or female, by the way. And at the same time, we have done a lot of training with I'm saying male, men who you can tell they're intimidated. You can tell that they're a little nervous. They're afraid to ask the questions. And I love working with men because I say, look, ask me the questions. Let me help teach you. And it's in such a comfortable setting that they don't feel like they've lost something because a man is asking somebody else. Like I think a lot of men try to think, hey, I'm supposed to know it all. I'm supposed to have been raised in the car world, the Jeep world, the automotive world, however it is. And then when they get on the trail, they have to be this macho. No, it's okay. And so I think for me as a mentor, I pride myself that I'm very private. So you could come to me and have a conversation and the world doesn't need to know. Nobody else on the run needs to know. Like, let me help you solve that issue really quick for you, or let me explain something to you. And I think that's part of it too, is that we've got to understand that there are men out there wheeling that really should ask for some questions and some help. But they're in a different category of how do you do that? How do you show that you didn't know something? Well, I'm here to tell you, it doesn't matter, male or female. When you're wheeling and you're out there and you want to learn, there are so many people out there that will. So if you get shut down or somebody says, I don't really know, then move on, find somebody else.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've been lucky. The group of guys that, have mentored me and that I've wheeled with, they all, are so supportive and knowledgeable and also recognize that they each have their own, skill set and their strong point, and they feed off of each other. And, hey man, what do you think about this or whatever? And they're just, a group of absolutely phenomenal, supportive, knowledgeable people. And seek that out for a new person until you find that group that you just feel 150% confident with on the trail, because they're out there.
Yeah.
You gotta find your wheeling clique.
Your little niche. Yeah, your clique. I like that one.
Yeah.
Well, and I think too, one thing I'm going to say too, that I think I realized. So, I've been a woman, not that I changed and wasn't a woman. That didn't come out right. That is not what I meant. And Tony's going to use that as a dang thing. Oh gosh, Tony, I'm going to get you.
He probably.
He's going to use it as a
huge
leader.
ass.
See, exactly. Oh, okay.
Oh man.
I am a woman in the world of men, period. Okay. All through my life and jobs and, all my stuff. One thing I'm going to say is that I don't feel there's a segregation between male and female in this industry of wheeling, believe it or not. I know it sounds funny, and I am an excellent spotter. I've been in certain situations where a man will say, I don't need you, honey. You're fine. I'm okay with it. But the bottom line is there really isn't much of that where they're saying, oh, girls can't do this. No, that's really wrong. So I'm just here to tell you, as a woman who knew nothing starting in this industry, and is really good at what I do, and I do believe that I do a good job. So, but when I have these guys that are helping or mentoring, they don't treat me like I'm a girl that needed to have help. They're giving me that information. Like you said, Amanda, you want to learn, and those people are there for you, and we seek them out. So anyway, I love it.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
So, all right. Well, we've kind of handled the mentor part really good, but let us know if you have any questions on that. If you're listening or watching us, you can see the little flubs.
And I did see a comment where somebody said they love when people come out and wheel with their club or join them on the trail. Yes. And I love that, because as somebody that runs an off-road club, I love it when new people show up that we've never met. And they saw us online and they saw we were going to the park and they wanted to come out and join us. To me, that's like such a compliment.
Well,
that somebody wanted to come out and wheel with
that's
us.
what we should be doing, right? It shouldn't be just a close knit. Sorry, this is it. Now, if you were doing a Black Diamond and they're set up as their stock brand new Jeep, which we've had happen, I'm like, come with us. We'll park your vehicle at the first obstacle. You'll jump in with us. Come and see. That
Mhm.
you can also do that. So you make friends that way. So, all right. Well, now that we're talking about finding mentors, let's touch base a little bit about where and how somebody who's new to this world could actually find these runs or find out ways to get more involved off-roading. Any thoughts on that?
So for me, my personal experience was Facebook.
Yeah.
I stalked some Facebook groups and
Stop. Seriously.
I st you know
Okay.
no, yeah, because I was silent. I was silent. I didn't say
That's the
anything.
other
I
thing
just got in
Tony's
these
gonna
groups
use.
and
That's the other thing
stalked
Tony's gonna use.
them.
I stock Jeep groups.
Oh, you know,
I love it. That's what I love about the A team. We give Tony so
I
much
did.
information.
Guilty.
Hey, JR Creations. Happy Sunday to you. Thanks for listening.
We give him all the outtakes.
Exactly. Go ahead. Go ahead. Sorry, I didn't
Yeah,
mean to interrupt.
happy Sunday. So I got in these oh no, you're fine. I got in these Facebook groups and I just watched and waited to see when they were going to do some trail runs and kind of like got some background information on the trails from seeing people's sidebar conversations
Yeah.
and I went out to like another event first before a trail run just to meet some people to see before I showed up at the trail run.
Okay.
So that's what worked for me was I used my local Facebook Jeep groups
Yeah.
and off-road groups. How do you find them, Wendy?
Well, when we first started, we didn't even know there was places to actually figure out where the clubs were. Now, my husband had wheeled before with his mom a long time ago, so he knew of one group in Southern California. So we just kind of typed in Jeep groups on Facebook or Jeep clubs and kind of got that, able to do that. And that's how we kind of started. And then, of course, we discovered where we lived, there was a Jeep club. So, of course, we joined that one because that's what we thought we'd do. But what I'm seeing today mostly is that there are these groups that are not really a club per se, where you have to go to meetings and have these requirements to join and do all this stuff. Their club is on Facebook.
Hmm.
So, like we have SoCal Junkies and SoCal Jeepers, and there's a couple of different ones. And so, what's happening now is there'll be a couple of admins who will put together runs, and they say anybody can put a run together. So, if you say, "Hey, I'm going to do this easy run on this date," then you post it as an event through Facebook, and then you're coming on and saying, "Well, where are they? I have a stock Jeep. Where's the easy runs?" And then you kind of can go from there. So, I think that's one of the things. That's what we did in the beginning, anyways. Facebook. So that's what I see today. Kind of has evolved. That's a little different from when we started. Was that you don't have to join a physical club. You can go, show up. The run leader usually says exactly what's needed as far as your vehicle setup. If it's going to be, easy, medium, difficult, to bring lunch. Make sure that you have plenty of water on board, and I always talk about this too. If you're bringing kids, you need stuff for them. If you are bringing dogs, you need to make sure you're picking up after your dogs. And also there's water for everybody. You have to make sure you have all of your gear. So I do cover that a lot on our episode for newbie nuggets on the Tuesday episodes. But I think the other thing too is asking around. Like sometimes, like you said, you go to shows. So there'll be off-road shows. There's going to be different, like EGS is coming up, which is Easter Jeep Safari. There's going to be groups and people that are there that you can make contact with to find out what they're doing. There's also several women in the industry, like Charlene Bauer, who does Ladies Off-Road Network, does a whole big conglomerate where you can actually get involved and take classes and learn. There's also Nina Barlow that does the Rebel Rally training in the sand and the heavy sand that we have out here. So there are also other names in the industry that you can connect with to find out, well, how can I get stuff done and how can I learn more? And you do stuff too, right? Aren't you doing some training too?
Yeah, so we haven't done one in a while, but my group does like 101s, and we also do like recovery 101, teaching people how to use like their winch and all that stuff too, so that when they get on the trail, they know how to self-recover. So, and you can see that like when I do those kind of things, I post it on my
Right.
Instagram or I post it on, even my TikTok, Facebook, whatever. So you can find those people that maybe follow on Instagram that are like maybe in your area. And
Hmm.
anybody, like for me, if somebody wants to know about wheeling in my area, message me.
Yeah,
Because even if
exactly.
I'm not going, I can put you with somebody or a group that's near you that is.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, and we were before Don Alexander passed last year. We were doing teaching 100%. We had a basic class that really got everything. We had a recovery class teaching you how to sort of get stuck, and of course how not to get stuck and how to get unstuck. And then we also did extreme trails too, and we did all kinds of different training and different events. And we would go to different shows, just try to educate people on how to pick a line and how to wheel better, so that you're not getting yourself in trouble. That's part of the deal too. Part of wheeling, I think, is just getting out there and trying. So when you're new and you're looking for these, how do I get involved? Like I said, I see now on Facebook where they're like, I just bought a brand new Jeep. Are there trails local? Here's where I live. And then people jump on and say, here's this trail and this trail. What we need to be doing is back to that mentoring, going, hey, I have this run coming up, or why don't you wheel with me and I'll walk you through it. And again, not all of us want to have to babysit, and don't call it babysit in a bad way, but all of us have to, mentor every single time. We don't always want to have to be that. I love sometimes when I'm in the middle of the pack and not the leader, but I still find, hey, if you need some help, I'll help you, because it's in my nature of who I am. But I do think it's hard for people brand new to figure out where to go, like trails, and where to find them. Another good thing, like up here in Big Bear, we have the Discovery Center, which is part of the Forest Service. And they've got a beautiful map system that shows you the trails, green, blue, and black. So that's easy, medium, and hard. And that way, if you're looking to how to get on these trails, and they give you all the numbers and they kind of teach you a little bit about that, and they're not really training you to do anything, just saying, here's a map, here's where you need to go. So I do think a lot of people do go out on their own and try to experience, and that's what jeeping's about, going and seeing things and doing stuff. But there are different Forest Service. There might be like Hidden Falls down in Texas is an actual location. You can go. There's probably a map system as well, I'm thinking, in there. There's things like OnX. There's a couple of different app programs that you can put in that will give you trails and give you ratings. There's the Jeep Badge of Honor, which generally is a little more reserved for upper end trails, but there are some that are easier that you can do brand new. But there are lots of programs and things to find. It's just when you're new, what's the best thing? Just type the word Jeep clubs or Jeep runs or trail runs into Facebook and let it happen, because it's going to be subjected to where your area is too.
So to build off what you just said, like you mentioned Hidden Falls. So in your area, I know there's a lot of public lands. So in our area, it's more like off-road parks, right? So a lot of these off-road parks have their own associated Facebook group.
Oh,
so like Bridgeport has a group of people that run there, like Barnwell has a group. So you can get into these groups and, post, hey, I want to go out to, Bridgeport to Northwest ORV Park. And my rig is X, Y, and Z. It's, it's new, it's stock, or it has a 2-inch lift or whatever, and you can connect with a group that's going to be like, hey, I'm out there Saturday, join us. Or like with Bridgeport, Northwest ORV, there's this wonderful human, Paul, that works there. And he just has such a passion for it. He's a Jeeper and he takes out newbies. But even, if he's working the front desk and can't take out newbies, you can say, hey, Paul, what trail should I hit? And he will whip out the map and, say, hey, Trey, this one. Or, I know so-and-so's out today. He's over there in the green Jeep, maybe go over there and connect with them. But finding like your local off-road parks, see if they have a Facebook group, because a lot of them do. Or you can even message, like the folks that run Barnwell, which is another group, and they can put you, with some folks that are coming out locally. And so that's also been something good that I've used.
Yeah, it's funny because here in Southern California, we don't have the off-road parks. So it's a little different, to hear that. So, but that is a good point. So you could just type into Facebook, off-road parks and whatever city or state you're in, to find out, because I think you're right. We have the public lands out here. We have BLM and Forestry Service. I'm not sure if BLM provides maps per se, but a lot of the BLM land is desert, a lot of whoop-de-doos, and, there are rock climbing and things you can do. But I don't know that there's a set trail system. The Forest Service is a little different because a lot of those roads have been used for getting in to fight fires at some point, or something. Maybe it was old mining days, like up here in Big Bear. They used to do mining back in the Holcomb Valley area. So a lot of those roads exist because of other usage, years and years and years ago. But then those are designated now as actual trails that stay open or closed during winter, depending on some of them. And like John Bull in the wintertime, when it gets snow, forget it. I mean, you can be really, really good. You could be on 40s or 44s. You're going to have a hard time getting through it, depending on how much snow we have. So we just, we stay off of those trails. They're not necessarily blocked. There's no gate to close, that kind of a deal. But finding those groups, I think the best way is Facebook, and just typing in some keywords like, Jeep trails or trail runs, or, like you said, for your other areas that don't have public lands, is those parks. So what would be the search engine for that? What words would you be using?
So when I look, let me pull up my handy dandy cell phone, which is here. So I literally just typed in like Northwest ORV. So that's the name of the park.
Okay.
We call it Bridgeport because that's the town it's in, but it's in Northwest ORV. So like, say you find out that there's a off-road park near you, you Google it, off-road park, whatever. So I go in and I type in Northwest ORV. And so it pops up right in my search on Facebook. And then right below it pops up Northwest ORV group.
Got it.
So you have like the page that is the business, and then you see the group. And so you just answer the questions to join the group. And then you get in there and kind of learn and see, who's going out and all that good stuff.
So somebody who's brand new in an area that doesn't have public lands, you maybe just type off-road park would probably be the best way to do it. Yeah. It's, I think for us in Southern California, because there isn't really like a designated park, we will just I'll see stuff on Facebook all the time for, I want to get to this area. What's in Big Bear? I love that one. What trails do you suggest in Big Bear? And everybody's like, what do you have? Because it's everything from, super easy. We have like 600 miles of trails up here, and they're all designated with different, difficulties. So, but that's what I would say. Just go ahead and type it out, see what you can find. Again, some of the groups, what I've noticed on Facebook, the groups are actually really pleasant. There's some good advice being said on some of these groups. I've jumped in a couple of times. I'm sad that I'm not able to teach and train right now, because it's breaking my heart, because I love it and I have a passion for it. But we're just trying to figure things out, when your life changes in such a way. And we lost Don Alexander last year, which has been really hard, because he's such a mentor for me. But I've learned a lot, and I think I can continue and do that, but it's just hard. So anyway, but you can still reach out to me if you're in Big Bear, Southern California. I will still give you some suggestions on trails, and depending on what you're wheeling with, I'll be happy to do that. And then even suggest some of the actual groups that I follow on Facebook too, because you got to get out there. I mean, that's what Jeeping's about, right? Get out there and have some fun.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. And, finding your people, and some of them will become like family to you. Like you were talking about with Don, that's part of that to me is in part of, the best part of it is the community, the lifelong friends that I have met. Yeah. And the same as Wendy said, if you're in Texas and you want to know where to wheel and you're new, message me. I'll help you figure it out. So
exactly. Yeah.
I love to share.
That's one thing about us I think we like, is that both of us are the same. We love to impart knowledge. And I'll be the first one to say, I don't have all the knowledge, but I have good experience knowledge that I will share. Things that I do feel passionate about and know, I would be happy to share that with people. So I just think it makes everybody comfortable. So.
Yeah. And if I don't know, I will try to help you find somebody that does.
Yeah, exactly. I know. Like I said, I don't know it all, but I can direct you to people. And that's the other thing too, of making connections. When you're in groups or clubs, or you go to some of these shows, or like the events like EJS, which the Jeep Talk Show group is going to be, most everybody's going to be there, except me, as Tony reminds me. You never know. I might show up. Who knows? But that's part of also making those connections of people that you may not realize that you've made a connection with somebody, but now you're on a trail run and you run into Amanda and you're like, oh my gosh, I've listened to you on the show. This is so cool. I get to meet you, or that's happened to me too. Has that happened to you yet? I've actually had, on the trail, somebody, we were helping on one of our trails, and I was getting out to check it out, and there was somebody coming from the opposite direction, and I'm just like, hey, how you guys doing? And the guy goes, are you Wendy from the Jeep Talk Show? And I'm like, I don't what? How did you know that? That was kind of fun. So you do. Has that happened to you yet?
That's so much fun. I love that. Yeah, I mean, yes, it has. Like at an event that we were at not too long ago, somebody was like, "Oh man, I followed you, on Instagram. I'm so excited to wheel with you." And I mean,
Yeah,
that made my
I
absolute
know.
day.
I know.
It made my absolute day to find out that somebody appreciated my content, and then we got to like spend the day together doing something that I love so much, and
Yeah.
it made my absolute day.
Yeah, it's funny how it sort of elevates you, and I think it puts it in perspective that what we're saying or sharing is somebody, like you said, somebody actually paid attention and listened to it. That's the part I love, is just to be able to impart that information. So anyway, it's all good stuff, guys. If you're new, get out and wheel, because it's a whole nother world. Man, some of the friends I have now that I didn't even know I never would have met them had I not done this. Seriously, we never would have met anybody that we're involved with now if we hadn't just pushed the envelope. And my husband said, "Let's get a Jeep again." I'm like, "Oh, what?" I love that part.
Exactly. Exactly. Some of the people that like I spent this weekend with at Mopar Heaven, those folks are like family to me. And had I not, jumped on this crazy ride and decided one day I was like, oh, I'm going to finally buy a Jeep. And then, oh, I'm going to finally wheel my Jeep and,
Yeah.
do all this stuff, then I wouldn't have met these people. And I can't now imagine my life without them in it.
No,
So
I know.
yeah,
It's crazy.
it's
It's
worth it.
crazy.
People get out there, do it, try it, join the groups.
Exactly. Well, let us know what you think about our topics. Do you want to learn to be a mentor? Are you a great mentor? Maybe you've had an experience with a great mentor you want to share. And also let us know how you find runs and things like that. So the show, we always love to hear that feedback. So, well, Amanda, this has been awesome and fun, but that is our episode for Chick Chat this week. So I hope you guys have been inspired by the stories, the insights, the tips we shared today. Remember, there are no limits to what you can achieve when you embrace your passion and fearlessly chase those dreams. So, again, if you've enjoyed the episode, maybe you've watched this on YouTube, make sure you subscribe to the Jeep Talk Show so you'll never miss an episode.
Broadcasting since 2010.
You're my friend. You're my new friend.